name's Josina Vink. I am currently an associate professor in service design at AHU, the Oslo School of Architecture and Design. I have a background doing service design in healthcare in Canada, the US, and Sweden. Social structures are these kind of things that we share that are taken for granted and become kind of entrenched over time. Things like norms and rules and roles and common beliefs. So it could be something like the idea of the role of the service user. That is an entrenched kind of social structure that we have in services. But it could also be, our family structures and the role of parents and children and how those things take on. So they're both within services. There's kind of certain social structures, informal and formal. So there's a kind of large variety of them. And they're things that we, are across society that we share. Even the idea of the service provider and service user, I think those are fundamental social structures that we hold in design that we need to piece apart and question and things like that. And so a lot of businesses work with that sort of social structure in mind. We are a business, we serve you as a customer. That is a kind of shared belief that we have that is part of what service designers work with and shape. So we often draw journey maps of one individual moving through a system. That's how we understand things. But there's a ton of cultures and ways of thinking that are not so focused on individuals as one entity, that it has their own autonomy, has freedom of all of these different choices and can have access in different ways. And I think that we could learn a lot from cultures that have a more collective understanding of society, and service design can look very differently and does look very differently. People are already kind of practicing those things in different ways in different cultures. So I think there's a lot we can learn by kind of opening up to some of those things. I think for me, experimentation is really key in this way of learning that we're kind of shaping social structures through design in this ongoing way in our everyday lives. So we've been working with things like tiny tests, like getting people to go out into their everyday lives and try and challenge a certain kind of social structure and way of working. And that kind of ongoing experimenting and then documenting kind of what they find when they're doing things differently is a way to build in a kind of more experimental way of working in general and help people realize their own agency in the systems that they're in. And I see those not as kind of a design practice that only designers can use and do, but that people more widely can start to understand how they're shaping kind of the service systems that they're in. I'm really interested. So I'm in the academic space now, but it's like I'm very interested in the idea of reflexivity, or this like building the awareness of these social structures, because I think once we have that both within service systems and within the larger society, then we can more intentionally shape them. But if they stay at the kind of taken for granted, invisible level, then we're never really able to be intentional, and they just define our lives in ways that we aren't even aware of and might not be comfortable with if we're really taking a hard look at ourselves. So I think there's been lots of critique in different spaces and places, but there is a sense of maybe the mainstream waking up to some of these critiques and building them in. So I think that's hopeful, the kind of sense of listening around that. But I think there was a lot more work to do. I don't think we can just celebrate that we've asked the critical questions now and done the work. I think there's a long way to go in kind of making and shaping those things over time and reinventing our work and how we understand service design.